The Jets, Cardinals, Titans, Browns, Dolphins, Cowboys have no chance. Meanwhile, the Rams, Chiefs, Raiders, Giants, Bears, 49ers, and Texans have a legit shot to win a title. No, I don't have time to go through all 32 teams and their chances. But I'm only mentioning these teams because you got teams that are in a position to draft high with no shot. And then you have other teams that could gain this one piece, and it could be the difference between a championship and the agony of another season of defeat. Want to see where your favorite team lines up and why they should draft high or trade out? Stay tuned to find out on this edition of Gridiron Gab Pro Style. Welcome back, all you gabbers. Thank you all so much for joining us here on this edition of Gridiron Gab Pro Style. Of course, you're gabbing with the one and only Mr. CeeLo. And gabbers, I hope you are doing great. I am doing wonderful. I just want to take this moment to thank you all for joining us here, as well as giving a big gab out to my beautiful wife. Her birthday was last week. Love you, baby. And I want to give a big gab out to my mentor, my preacher, my baby brother, for his birthday coming up this week. Thursday, I think. Love you, little buddy. God bless you. Hope you guys are all doing great as well. I want to give a big gab out to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And thank you for all that you have done for me and all he's done for you guys. This is what my first love is and my first heart is. Thank you, Father. Thank you, Jesus. But let us get into it, you guys. Let us talk about the first couple of picks here, because realistically, guys, I have been doing so many shows with people and watching so many shows that I'm sitting here yelling at either my YouTube, my Twitch, or whatever. And guys, I've got to stop that, because this is content. I could be showing you guys how I react to these things. And realistically, I'm going to react to the CBS poll, which I actually started watching. I read this, guys, and what really got me was, is somebody's thinking the way I'm thinking. And I'll break it down. Like, they've got the Raiders just, nobody's going to come out there and give them the type of deal that they want that's going to sway them off of taking Fernando Mendoza and giving up that pick. So, of course, they took Fernando Mendoza. But picks 2, 3, and 5, who belong to the Jets, Cardinals, and Giants, those three teams traded out. Now, of those three teams, there was one team that I felt like if they drafted correctly this season, they could make a move in their division and get into the playoffs. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, well, wait, what about Philly? Washington's going to be back. Well, here's the thing. New York lost a lot of close games last year. So, you could very well say that if this team were to make the right selections, they could find their way up that way. But I did see something rather interesting. I saw that in this mock draft is they traded, if I remember correctly, with the Rams. Now, the Rams do have, I think they have 2 good quality picks. But realistically, the selection you want or the trade you want is with the Cowboys because the Cowboys have 2 firsts. Okay? You want those 2 firsts because let's say you get both of Dallas's picks. You could conceivably get your most pressing needs, which are a guard and a corner. And then you could honestly snatch back into this thing and get another pick. Conceivably, you could conceivably look at this team and say, okay, linebacker, corner / safety, conceivably offensive tackle, and of course wide receiver is definitely a pressing issue for the Giants. I just think ultimately you could argue the Giants with the right selections could be contenders this year, or you could take the route of, hey, let's just get 1 or 2 guys in this draft and then press for next season. Because next season, if you get the more first round picks you get next season, you're going to have a lot of shots at these players because realistically, there are going to be a lot of teams. To me, New York's already got its quarterback in Jackson Dart. I think he's a guy that you can put the franchise on his shoulders. He surprised me. I was not sure that this guy was going to be there, and they got a steal with him. Much like the New Orleans Saints did. So, looking here, I look at the Jets and the Cardinals, who, in my opinion, are in must-trade down mode. Now, a lot of people are going to look at me and say, why should the Jets trade down? Well, it's simple. They're not in win-now mode. Now, you could argue, since they need another wide receiver, you could go out there and say, hey, okay, let us trade down. And, of course, the dream partner would be, once again, the Dallas Cowboys, because they have 2 firsts in this draft. Now, realistically, what you want to be able to do, excuse me, guys, I misspoke. I said the Rams had 2 picks in the first round. I was incorrect on that. My mistake, you guys. I keep forgetting the Rams consistently are trading their first round picks, Yes. When you think of what the Jets need, they need a lot. And they need a lot of premium positions, you guys. Now, I'm not saying that you cannot get those premium positions in this draft, but realistically, and this is where you've got a lot of positions that are exceptionally deep in this draft, and then you have some that are really not deep at all, like the quality of offensive tackles. I mean, you've got guys that are here. They're not up there with the edge guys that we have, but it's like Mel Kiper was saying, they're not good enough to be drafted up here, but then they're good enough to still be in the first round. However, you don't want to get out of the first round without getting your tackle if that's what you need. And it's even looking like you're going to have some guards that would be middle of the road second round picks that could possibly squeak into the bottom echelon of the first round because the need is so deep there. You got a lot of teams that are struggling with that position. And as I said before, you're looking at a team in the Jets that need the 3 most important positions other than the tackle. You need wide receiver, you need edge, and you need a quarterback. Now, I think what's going to happen, the question is who's going to pounce on, Ty first. I think ultimately that is the ultimate question that a lot of people have on their mind is who's going to snatch up Ty Simpson. I think this is where, I think the Steelers are going to be the one to snatch him up. Now, I know I'm jet setting past what the Jets' needs are, but I think ultimately Simpson's going to get snatched up by of course, the Steelers, because ultimately I believe the other teams realize that the draft is so deep at quarterback next year, and they've got so many needs to fill. Why take a chance here when you don't have all the pieces? Number one, for the Jets, they don't have all the pieces to protect him. You need a guard. You need a wide receiver. You need an edge. You just need so many different things. And then you're on a Breece Hall franchise tag? Yeah. So needless to say, you're not in a situation where it's a pleasant situation to draft a quarterback. You need some serious players in certain positions. Like, to me, in the first, second, maybe third round, you can achieve getting edge, wide receiver, and guard. But I will say this, that wide receiver is not going to be a premium guy because, of course, you already have. Now, he could be. You could be fortunate enough to snatch back in there because, yes, as I've said before, the Jets have 4 of the top 44 picks. And then after that, it just drops off. You've got 103, 140, 179, 228, and 242. Which, like I said, unless you're a really good scout and you can scout really efficient defensive tackles, which they don't really need, centers, you could improve there, sure. And I think there's some really good centers in this draft, which is funny because they don't have that as a need. But we can agree that the Jets could use an upgrade at center. So with that being said, you talk about the Jets being one of those teams that could be a candidate to trade down because looking at what you already have, you have the 16th pick, and you could very well get 2 top 16 picks and possibly get another second or possibly a first. 2 firsts. Let's say you were fortunate enough, like right now, you've got the Cowboys. I'm sorry, not the Cowboys. You've got the Giants offering a trade. You got the Dolphins offering a trade, and they have 2 firsts. Maybe that 30th is not as attractive as you would want it, but look here, you're getting a 11th, 30th, and a 43rd pick. Let's say you were to get that. You would have the 11th pick, the 16th pick, the 30th pick, the 33rd, the 43rd, and the 44th pick. You would have you would have 4 first-round picks and 3 second-round picks. Now, I know a lot of y'all are going to get in the comments and you're going to say, well, we don't need that many players. Well, actually, you do. Let's say, for instance, you were to take this deal. Y'all give me a sec. Let's say y'all were to take this deal. Let's see. Now that the deal's done, let's look at what the possibilities would show. Okay, for the 11th pick, there's another trade that comes in from the Rams. They want to give you the 13th pick, which is not a bad idea because you've still got, listen to this, you guys. You still got Jeremiah Love and Sonny Styles on the board. Now, here's what I say to that. Now watch what I'm about to do, y'all. You got the 11th pick. Now, I'm going to keep it in perspective because realistically, you got the Jets, Cowboys, Rams, Ravens, and if you were to trade back, let's say you were to trade back to the Rams, and I honestly think they're going to come up and get him. I think they're going to come up and get Sonny Styles, but I'm going to be honest with you. If Sonny Styles is sitting here, ain't no way you let him roll. And I'm going to throw something else at you. You draft Sonny Styles, and then you hit whoever's picking next with the okie doke. Because you still got Jeremiah Love on the board. Now, I get it. You still got Breece Hall. Or do you? I'm going to tell you right now. If Jeremiah Love is on the board, you got to take him. And I'm going to tell you why. Because when you look at this and you break this down, now I'm not saying this is how it's going to go, because you give up the opportunity to take a guy like a Mekhi Lemon, which you don't need because you've already got Garrett Wilson. Okay? Now, I know people are saying you need a wideout. I get that. I get all that. So, you're looking at it and you're saying you got the 30th, the 33rd, and the 43rd, and the 44th. Because here's the reality. You don't have to get a superstar to go with Garrett Wilson. All you really need is a playmaker. And have I got just the one for you? But when we go down this whole aisle of the Jets, and I mean, I'm not going to get too deep into it, but you guys still ended up getting Sonny Styles, point blank. Then you get the 16th, 30th, 33rd, 43rd, 44th, and I'm probably going to trade a first-round pick to get back in there and get Jeremiah Love. But point I'm making is this, you guys. Jets can either rally up picks instead of taking one player that is still going to need a lot of pieces. And with that, the Jets can be competitive, but I don't think they're going to win a playoff game. I'm not going to sit there and say that they are going to be the comeback teams. They didn't do as much as the Raiders did in free agency. And then, of course, they got that fortune that the Ravens felt, stupid, what he said. And decided they're going to back out of the Max Crosby deal, giving back their 2 first-round picks, which would have obviously been monstrous for the Raiders. Because you could have obviously made a massive move to either shore up that offensive line or give him a massive playmaker or use it as trade bait to get back in the draft. To me, I think the Raiders are going to primarily work on that offensive line and getting the right weapons around Fernando Mendoza and Brock Bowers. But even still, when you start looking at the Arizona Cardinals, whom are in a really tough spot to pick at, because you're looking at a team that's got the 3rd, 34th, 65th, 104th picks, and they don't have anything extra. And they still need a quarterback, whereas so many people are sitting there saying this is a foregone conclusion that they're at some point going to try to draft Ty Simpson. I don't think so. I think ultimately this is a football team that really needs to decide whether or not they are going to trade down. And I've heard, like I've said, you guys have seen my show about the Arizona Cardinals and what they need to do. It's possible, however the board falls, I think realistically, if the board falls the way a lot of people are saying, like if the Jets were to stay put and take Sonny Styles at number 2 or Arvell Reese, I think realistically the only way that this, the Arizona Cardinals don't stay put is if somebody just offers them a crazy deal. And realistically, I'm going to just be honest with you. If the Arizona Cardinals don't take Francis Maui-Noah right here, and this is what I've heard a lot of people out of Phoenix and Arizona's talking about. They want them to take Francis Maui-Noah. Now, here's the reality to that, you guys. They need a tackle, edge, guard, running back. They need basically the entire offense outside of wide receivers and a center. But the problem is edge is such a premium position. And this is where I say, okay, you have your quarterback for this year locked in. And that's what I'm assuming. You go ahead, take Maui-Noah, trade back. Like early on, you got a position where you've got the Titans offering you the 4th pick and a 2nd round pick, and then you've got the Chiefs offering you the 9th pick and a 29th. So you got to weigh those options. You got to say, okay, do I want the 9th and the 29th to go with this? Is Maui-Noah going to be here? Or do I want to be in a position where I make this trade and it's not to my benefit? Let's say I get in that 4th pick and nobody wants to trade out and I have to take Maui-Noah where I'm taking him. Nobody wants to be in a situation where they're locked in, right? Because realistically, in order for you to trade, you have to have a trade partner, right? And see, truthfully, I don't know if I ended up taking the Kansas City deal, and if I was not on camera, I would probably have taken another deal. But see, here you go again. You've got Maui-Noah's on the board at number 9. And see, here's the reality. Do you risk going down to 19? And the answer to that is a resounding hell no. So right now, Arizona is sitting there pretty with technically 3 first-round picks because the 34th pick is right there. It's right outside of the first round. And realistically, let's look at this. You could arguably take Francis Maui-Noah And let's see where the board falls to us when we get to the next pick for the Cardinals. And see, this is which will be the 29th pick. See, realistically, when you sit and you watch this, the Cardinals need to play this game as best as they can because they need players. A lot of people are going to say, oh, well, you want to get the best players. Yes, you want to get the best players. But if you can get prime skill set for that, like, for instance, you're in this 29th position and you can get more picks, but let's keep it in perspective. You need a tackle. And Max Enocher, the tackle out of Arizona State, is still on the board. And then you've got the 34th pick. So, realistically, this is a no-brainer for me. You got to go that route. Or you could very well go to Zion Young, the Missouri prospect. But I think you have to go with the tackle in that position. But needless to say, if you're the Arizona Cardinals, trading back is going to be your best friend. You really literally have to make that decision. Yeah, and as I said before, the Cardinals are another team that is in prime position. I love doing these mock drafts, you guys. One day I'm going to be able to put these things on the screen so you can actually watch what I'm doing. But right now you're looking at an Arizona team that's going to have to get some of the more premium players, not the elite players, but premium players, because ultimately they're not going to be able to make themselves into a contender overnight. They're going to have to build this thing from the ground up in a lot of instances. So realistically, this has to be a situation where if you're the Cardinals, you got to think about trading back, but not too far, where you can get Maui Noah. That's what you want. You want to get Francis Maui Noah. This is not a foregone conclusion. This is what you have to do. And then a team that, in my opinion, has no opportunity because their quarterback room is a mess. And I've even heard rumors that Ty Simpson could go here, and that's the Cleveland Browns. If you can get, like right now, you're getting right here, you're getting Washington to trade up one spot and give you a second-round pick. Absolutely. If you can get that, and then you got the Saints trading up to give you the 42nd pick. I mean, bro, the opportunities are endless when you have certain players on the board. You just have to stick to your guns and say, okay, let's hold on here. Now, see, Carnell Tate's on the board. Kind of hard to back away from that, especially when one of your biggest needs is a wide receiver. So, that could be a reason why Washington is pulling such a large pull for this. Let's see what Washington does, because I believe in making somebody make a move for you next. And, of course, Washington takes Jeremiah Love. So, that's not a bad move. So, you see, that was ultimately, obviously, who the Saints were wanting. So, and I guess they wanted to take that draft pick for next year and see what they could get. But, unfortunately, that doesn't leave any more draft partners. So, you still kind of hanging there with, your picks from there. So, ultimately, I would take Carnell Tate, and then, of course, you got the 24th pick still sitting there. To me, the Browns need to trade back and accumulate as many quality picks as they can, so that next season, I'm going to be honest with you, unless one of these quarterbacks in this room, you're going to be in this situation again, with one quarterback that's finally going to be off your books after, in my opinion, having one of the worst second wins in, that's not fair. Talking about Deshaun Watson, but unfortunately for him, it's not going to be a situation that's going to be pretty, and I think ultimately he's going to end up back where he was, many moons ago. I hate to see that for him, but let us look here at another team that, in my opinion, is not going anywhere really fast, and that would be the Dallas Cowboys. And the reason why I say that is because the Cowboys don't realize it, but they need a lot. Sorry, America's team, y'all need a lot. I would think the Cowboys, and I know a lot of people said, you say that you've read that they would trade up either to the number 2, the number 3, or the number 5, number 6 spot even. Why would they do that? Because it's Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones does anything for a splash. And realistically, when you look at this Dallas Cowboy team, they want the best edge rusher in the draft. He's realizing he made a straight buffoon of himself. which that's nothing new, but how do you'll justify your buffoonish behavior by turning around and making a huge splash in this draft? Now, I will say this. If I'm the Jets, Cardinals, or Browns, or even Giants, or even the Titans if they decide, I would make the Cowboys part with that second first rounder. That's just me. I would make them part with that 12 and 20 pick. I would definitely make them part with that. Because realistically, and this is where I say the Tennessee Titans need to get it together, because realistically, when I look at this team, I think to myself, okay, I love your new coach. I love how he has been able to do certain things. But you have to realistically understand, you gotta have some offense. You gotta help your young quarterback. You don't have a vet there. Look, Tennessee hired a defensive-minded coach to bring along a young quarterback. Now, I'm about to say something that many NFL teams might start thinking as a source or some type of mole. You need to have a veteran quarterback when you bring in a defensive head coach. Let me say that again. Don't bring in an offensive head coach with an old quarterback. Bring a defensive coach in. Don't bring a defensive-minded coach in with a young quarterback, because he ain't gonna daggum grow. Just saying. He might teach him how to read defenses, but he ain't gonna teach him how to react and get on the same page with his receivers. Not gonna happen. Not gonna help him with the maturity factor. So, with that being said, am I saying Salah's gonna be a failure? I hope not. But realistically, we already know Salah's going to go after arguably the best defender in this draft. And we know that. The best one that is available to him. It's all going to depend on which team, what the other teams in front of them do. So, yeah. It's going to be an interesting draft for the Tennessee Titans as well. I think ultimately with Robert Saleh, he's going to want to take the best defender on the board, so I don't think he's going to trade out. I don't think that's going to happen, and I think that turns out to be a mistake. But, hey, Robert Saleh got the job, not me. Now, I've talked about the teams that I think should trade down. Now, let me take a look at the candidates that should trade up. The Rams are a team that is consistently one player away from getting there. And when you start looking at the teams that really embody consistency, the Raiders are the Rams are one of those teams. You look at the Buffalo Bills, whom are a team that, in my opinion, has really shot themselves in the foot in a lot of situations. I can't say the Ravens, because the Ravens have not been consistent the last couple of years. They've been really one of those up and down franchises, and you really just don't know what you're going to get out of them. I'm not going to count out the Lions just yet. They're a team that they could very well come back and actually put some serious meat in the back in the NFC. Because the Seahawks, I'm going to be honest with you, this is the team that is ready to start a dynasty. And a lot of people are going to say, are you crazy? No, I'm not. I'm really not crazy when I sit there and I say this is a team that is ready to start a dynasty. Because when you look at what Will McDonald has done down there, he's gotten the defense really vamped. These guys play with an intensity and a type of ferociousness that you just cannot teach. And then you look at what the Kansas City Chiefs have, and it's nothing short of pretty scary, because now the Chiefs have some serious draft capital, with that second pick later on in the first round. That's not something you want to see if you're a team that is trying to compete in the AFC right now. I know you've got the Jaguars just coming back to life in a lot of situations, and they're hoping that they can get things going in the right direction after so many years on the bottom. And now you're sitting here looking at a Kansas City team that is possibly going to make a serious move for someone in the first round. And in the current draft that I'm looking at now, you could take a Sonny Styles or a Francis Maui Noah or Monroe Freeling. So you're looking at a situation where and even Jeremiah Love's on the board. I know a lot of Kansas City fans are saying, no, not Jeremiah Love. No, not Jeremiah. Listen, Chiefs fans, as a guy who watched him for 3 years, you get this guy. You thought Patrick Mahomes was deadly with Kareem Hunt. Try having an offense with this dude in it. And then you've got the 30th pick. Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I mean, without a doubt. This is just, to me, this is an absolute no-brainer. You have no situation in here. But then here's the thing. I'm sitting here looking at these picks, and the Browns are offering the 24th, 39th, and the 70th pick in succession. So that would be massive if you as the Chiefs, you could get 3 top 39 picks. That would be massive. That would you would absolutely be able to handle your edge, corner, and tackle position in that position. Now I will say this. Given the fact that Travis Kelce's in a situation where he's about to retire, I will tell you right now, if they draft Kenyon Sadiq, and it's possible that this guy could last a lot longer than people are suspecting. I'm going to take the Cleveland Browns trade here and see just exactly what happens here. Yeah, when you really start looking at what this Kansas City team is going to have to do to recover, it's pretty remarkable because Patrick Mahomes does a lot of this, and I think ultimately if you get somebody like a Jeremiah Love, which did not happen. Yeah, I think ultimately if you're the Kansas City Chiefs, you have to kind of gauge where the board is, what it's looking like. And see, this is the most important thing you guys can remember. The board predicates what you do. No draft is the same. No mock is the same. The reality of it is, you guys, you might get the first 3 picks. And the way this draft has been going, I have yet to get a consistent back-to-back 3-round draft, guys. I'm telling you, it is not as simple as A, B, C, and 1, 2, 3. I'm telling you, you can sit all day and talk about what you want to do in the draft, and it's not going to come to fruition because realistically, you guys, anything can happen. Anything can and has happened when it comes to the NFL draft. You get all it takes with these elite tackles we have. You could see Freeling, Maui Noah, and Lummel go back to back. Hell, you can even throw Blake Miller in there, and he's a low end first round pick. I mean, a good tackle, but he's a right tackle. You know, the NFL, teams don't primarily want to take hardcore right tackles in the first round unless they're just really good. But for the most part, most teams don't want to go that route. They want their left tackles to be, the guys that they select. But you got the Rams who have a huge opportunity. You got the Buffalo Bills only have one high pick in the first 90 picks, excuse me. Then the Packers, the Packers only got, 52 and 84. Then you got the Texans who, surprisingly enough, have 4 picks in the first 69 selections. Then, of course, you got the Chiefs who traded down in this one. But, of course, they have the 9th pick. And, like I said, with this trade that I made, they ended up with 4 picks in the first 40 picks, which is, tremendous for a team that doesn't have a whole lot to work with. Doesn't have a whole lot to get. They've got a lot of pieces there already. They just need to get some foundational pieces. When you look at this team and the Chiefs that need edge, corner, tackle, tight end, wide receiver, and according to the draft that we got right now, they're picking right here at number 26, at 24. I think, honestly, the Chiefs could trade back and go and get Kenyon Sadiq. I truly do. And with that 30th pick, they may have to trade up to grab Akeem Messidor, because I believe he's the guy that they're going to need in this defense to go with Karl Loftus and Chris Jones. I think ultimately that with the Chiefs doing what they do, they're going to have to give up a second to possibly get Max Iheanacher and basically snatch him off the board. They're going to have to do some things because, needless to say, they need a pass rusher. They definitely need a tackle. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about that. They need that. And back to the Texans, they're a team with some surprisingly decent selections. I think now that the Texans could very well take this draft capital they have and trade up. Now, a lot of people are going to say, why would you do that when you have 4 picks in the top 69? Well, it's simple. You could very well be without a tackle, a first-round left tackle at 28. You don't want to end up in a situation like you were last season. And with that 38th pick, you could pretty well expect to get your guard. But I think you're going to have to part with either a second-round pick next season or another pick in this grouping right here. Because right now, as the Texans stand, they're going to have to be able to shore up that offensive line. There ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about that. They're going to have to be able to do that. Because realistically, the Texans have to take out whatever it is they can get on the offensive side of the ball, especially when it comes to the line. They're going to have to get a guard, and they're going to have to get a guard, and they're going to have to get a tackle. And they also need a defensive tackle to go as well, and they need a center. So center's not a huge difference, but the Texans have struggled at the interior, and they've struggled to get the outside right too. A lot of the positions they've gotten right. Really, the only one you could look at and say, defensive tackle. But when you've got Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter on the outside just torching guys, you don't really have to get an elite guy. It helps. But you really don't have to get an elite guy. But as I said, they just need guard, defensive tackle, center, offensive tackle, linebacker, and tight end. But to me, linebacker's not that big a deal. You definitely need a guard and a center and a defensive tackle and possibly a linebacker. So I would not count out the Texans moving up, even though I understand that DeMeco Ryans' defense does rely on To'o and guys like that, as well as Will Anderson Jr., as well as Danielle Hunter. But realistically, this is a situation where I don't think that they have to go all out. And, of course, we're looking at the situation with the Kansas City Chiefs. And like I said, the 49ers are a team that, like I said, they need an offensive tackle, especially with the uncertainty of Trent Williams. Need another wide receiver, especially with the Brandon Ayuk saga finally coming to its conclusion, or so we think. They definitely need a guard and an edge guy and a safety. So some of the most important positions on that defense, as well as the offensive line. Now, the 49ers have consistently had issues at the receiver position, whether it be injuries, whether it be just ability to perform. They've definitely had, and then the thing is, the 49ers have all but one of their picks here. And the truth is, the 49ers are really going to have to, strategically pick this board, because they've got to decide what's the most important thing, because they are 1 or 2 players away from being competitive. Look at the way they played last season. They had arguably one of the top 10 records in the NFL and still had to be in the wild card. And you have to sit and play the board and say, okay, but tackle and guard are pressing needs along with wide receiver, and look where you're picking at. I honestly think this is a situation where if you're the 49ers, you want to trade up, but you don't want it to be costly. You want it to be a trade up that's going to be beneficial, but yet not costly. Okay? Does that make sense? And I don't think the 49ers need a bunch of players on their roster. I do think they have to answer the questions. Guard, tackle, and receiver. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, what about edge? Now with Robert Saleh in Tennessee, you ain't going to have that luxury of a great defensive mind now. I agree. So what you have to do is you got to almost pick your poison, because you got to decide, are you going to get that elite tackle, or are you going to take that edge guy? It's a tough call because realistically, you look at where Nick Bosa is in his rehab. I mean, he comes back 100%. Great. But what if he doesn't? What if he has a setback? Knock on wood, not trying to put that on you Niners fans, but what if he has a setback? Then you're right back where you are. But guys, I'm going to go into detail about what each one of your teams should do with the mock draft. But I just wanted to give you guys a foundation of which teams I think are in a position that they could win now with this draft. And then the teams that you need to be building for next season. Take some of that, trade back, and then stock for next year. And I'm going to do individual mock drafts for these teams. But CBS, I can't remember who did it, but I will give a huge gab out to them because they finally put trades in there. That makes sense. Like I said, the Jets, Cardinals, Titans, and the Browns as well as the Chiefs. You know, the Chiefs could trade back and benefit from adding a couple of premium players. Not elite, but premium. So I will have those ready for you possibly near the end of the week, man. But coming down to the home stretch of the countdown to Pittsburgh. So, guys, I just want to tell you I appreciate y'all. I thank you. If you got ideas for the show, please let me know. If you think there's a player that your team is going to take in the first round, leave it in the comments. Tell me who you're excited about your team drafting. Tell me who you're not excited about your team drafting. But let me know. I want to engage with you guys. And make sure you hit the thumbs up and the subscribe notification underneath the show if you like the show and absolutely want to see more content from me. And don't forget to hit that bell notification because guess what? Just because you're subscribed doesn't mean you're going to always flag my content. You want to get notifications every single time I have one of these drop. Make sure that you go over to Facebook and check us out over there. Join the Gridiron Gab Pro Style group as well as adding us as a friend on regular Facebook. Finally, if you want to keep up with me and hit me up in my inbox like Splendid Steve does, make sure you go over to Mr. CeeLo on Instagram so you can keep up with all of my off-season shenanigans I will be caught up in. But until the next time, same Gab channel, same Gab platform.
But behold, there is a warm breeze that comes from the west. The blazing sounds of victory fuel their everlasting quest. It is a call to arms, for they are here. An army that has the will to challenge and the will to dare.